You're standing in a dark cave. The only light comes from a flickering torch or a small animal fat lamp. On the wall in front of you are horses in full motion, lions with intense eyes, rhinoceroses locked in combat, handprints layered over one another. These images are more than 30,000 years old. Some are closer to 40,000. For millions of years before this moment, humans and their ancestors made stone tools. They controlled fire. They built shelters. They hunted, gathered, raised children, and survived in a harsh world. Then, in a relatively short window of evolutionary time, they began making art. Not just practical marks. Not just accidental scratches. Real images. Symbols. Objects that served no clear survival function. Why? This is one of the most important questions we can ask about what it means to be human. Let's begin with the timeline. Because the timing itself is strange. The first stone tools appear more than 3 million years ago. Controlled fire is at least 1 million years old. But clear representational art, animals, humans, hybrid figures, sophisticated decorations, becomes widespread only in the last 50,000 years, with some earlier hints. Something shifted in the human mind. One major theory says art is the visible result of a cognitive leap. When humans developed fully modern language and symbolic thinking, they gained the ability to hold ideas, images, and meanings in their minds that were not physically present. Once you can imagine a horse that isn't standing in front of you, you can also try to put that horse onto a wall. Art, in this view, is what happens when a symbolic brain starts externalizing its symbols. But ability alone doesn't explain motivation. Just because you can make art doesn't mean you will, especially when every hour of effort could have been spent on food, safety, or rest. So why invest the time? A second strong theory focuses on social identity and group bonding. In small hunter-gatherer bands, belonging was everything. Shared symbols, a particular style of bead, a way of decorating tools, a distinctive painting style, can act like a flag. They say, "This is us." They strengthen internal cohesion and create clearer boundaries with other groups. In a world without written language, visual symbols may have been one of the most powerful ways to carry group identity across time and distance. Art may also have been deeply tied to ritual and belief. Many of the most impressive cave paintings are not near the entrance where people lived. They are deep underground, in chambers that required effort, planning, and courage to reach. Some researchers believe these places were used for ceremonies, initiations, or attempts to influence the natural world. If you believe that making an image of an animal gives you some power over it, or connects you to it spiritually, then painting becomes more than decoration. It becomes a form of action. There's also the simpler possibility of curiosity and play. Humans are not the only animals that play. Spare time and spare cognitive energy appeared. Making marks, creating likenesses, transforming a blank surface into something that looks alive. These activities are deeply satisfying to a mind like ours. Art may have begun partly as sophisticated play, the pleasure of creation for its own sake. Another theory comes from sexual selection. Some evolutionary psychologists argue that artistic skill functioned like a peacock's tail. But we are unusually good at it. Once basic survival needs were met with some regularity, the ability to create impressive, skillful, unnecessary things signals intelligence, creativity, fine motor control, patience, and access to free time and resources. These are attractive qualities. The best artists may have gained status and better mating opportunities. In this view, art spread because it helped certain individuals stand out and reproduce more successfully. There is also the practical magic hypothesis. In a world full of dangerous animals, uncertain hunts, and forces you cannot control, creating images may have felt like a way to gain some influence. Painting the animals you depended on, or the animals you feared, could have been an attempt to understand, honor, or control them. Whether or not it worked in a physical sense, it may have reduced anxiety and created a sense of agency. The truth is almost certainly a combination of several of these forces rather than a single clean answer. What the archaeological record makes clear is this. Around 40,000 to 45,000 years ago, with some earlier examples, humans began leaving behind abundant evidence of symbolic, imaginative, non-utilitarian creation. They made beads from shells that had to be collected and carefully drilled. They carved ivory and bone into human and animal figures. They painted and engraved complex scenes deep inside caves. They made musical instruments. They decorated everyday tools far beyond what function required. This was not a minor hobby. It required planning, skill, materials, and time. The appearance of widespread art is one of the strongest pieces of evidence that the human mind had become fully modern, capable of abstraction, imagination, memory across generations, and communication of complex ideas through symbols. You live in a world drowning in images. Your phone alone shows you more pictures in a week than most ancient humans would have seen in a lifetime. Images are cheap, constant, and often meaningless. Your ancestors lived in a world where almost every surface was blank. When someone took the time to grind ochre, prepare a wall, and place an image there, it was rare and deliberate. It carried weight. They didn't start making art because life suddenly became easy or safe. Life remained hard. They started making art because their minds had crossed a threshold. They could now hold and express things that went beyond immediate survival. Identity, memory, belief, imagination, status, beauty, and the simple powerful urge to leave a mark that says, "I was here. I saw this. This mattered." The caves are still dark. The animals on the walls are still running. And the question those first artists left us has never really gone away. Once the human mind can create meaning out of nothing, why would it ever stop?